I have been a practicing OBGYN for close to 10 years now. Done full scope OB surgery, deliveries, clinic, all of it. And I think, I've been with Natural Cycles for about the past a little over a year. It was my first venture into the femtech world. And I think what really motivated me to join Natural Cycles was feeling like when I was in the clinic, it was very difficult for me to give women adequate education and information in the limited space of a visit. And I also noticed that there was just a real hunger on the part of women for more, and it the possibilities of what we could do with technology that I was seeing coming out in a lot of different ways, I think really made me excited. And when I heard about Natural Cycles and ultimately had the opportunity to join them as a medical advisor, I think that was something that really excited me because this is something that we've needed in women's health. We need better education out there. Women are hungry for that knowledge. We've really seen an increase in women wanting to understand more about their bodies, right? So they're going to the internet, they're going to, Google and social media to try to understand what was going on with their symptoms. I mean, there's a lot of things that historically have been brushed off as, women just complaining or, sort of like, especially now menopause is getting a lot of attention for, women who have been suffering with pretty debilitating symptoms for years and not really understanding what that's about and, how to treat it. So I think that unfortunately, in some ways, has brought about a lot of the misinformation that we see because women were searching for something. And, sometimes we're going to the wrong sources and people were almost profiting off of the fact that women want more information in like a negative way. But we've also seen now, I'm really excited to see a lot of solutions like this where, they're evidence-based, based on science, well studied, FDA regulated. So I think that's something that has really made a lot of the doctors in the community excited. Like, okay, finally, now we have a good place to direct our patients to be able to get that information that they're looking for. And sort of flagship mode was birth control, as you mentioned.
Hmm.
That was sort of what it was initially created to do. And then since then, we've really expanded to be a all-encompassing women's health platform. So the goal of Natural Cycles is to meet women at whatever stage of their reproductive life and even post-reproductive life that they're in. So, we have birth control mode, planned pregnancy mode, because obviously, if you're preventing pregnancy by identifying the fertile window, you can then flip that to help plan pregnancy. And then we have a follow pregnancy mode that gives you week by week advice and guidance and insight into your pregnancy. And then we just launched postpartum mode last
Oh,
year. So we have now NC postpartum mode, and also I'm really excited about we're going to be launching a perimenopause mode coming up soon. So sort of
yay.
getting into that, sphere of things, and yeah, we really want to be with a woman at every stage of her life
Yeah.
to help educate and inform her on her
And our
body.
hormones are all over the place.
Right.
So this is really geared for somebody who doesn't want to be on some kind of um, pharmaceutical or implant.
Exactly. Yeah. I think a large percentage of our user base either can't take hormones for a
Mhm.
medical reason or has had side effects that they didn't like from hormonal birth
Right.
control. So, and as you said, hormonal birth control, as an OBGYN, I think probably any OBGYN you talk to will, say how valuable hormonal birth control is in our toolkit in terms of controlling, heavy bleeding, um, also some negative aspects of your period, such as like PMDD. I mean, there's a lot of good uses for birth control. Also, like
Mhm.
cancer prevention. It actually helps prevent ovarian and endometrial cancer in PCOS patients. So, definitely a lot of benefits to hormonal birth control, but increasingly we're seeing more and more women interested in a non-hormonal solution. And, in my practice, I had oftentimes seen those women resorting to sort of less effective methods, like things, if they weren't interested in a Paragard IUD, they might want to use condoms, which typically are at about 87% with typical use. And, or they just use withdrawal, which is, in the 70% for typical use, meaning that
Yeah, I
like,
thought we
you know,
stopped that in the 70s.
right. Yeah, exactly. But,
Apparently
so
not.
those were the things I was seeing my patients use, if they really didn't want to be on hormonal birth control, but weren't ready for an IUD. And, I think that's why I was really excited about having a solution like Natural Cycles, which is 93% effective with typical use. And so that, because of the effectiveness of the algorithm and the convenience of using the wearables, that's really what enabled us to have a much better effectiveness rate, even than a lot of the other fertility awareness methods that are out there. Dr. Alina Berglund, who was, again, I know you guys are probably familiar with the origins story, but for, maybe some of your listeners that are not, Lena Berglund is a PhD physicist who was literally studying the Nobel Prize winning Higgs boson particle at CERN in Switzerland and was interested in a non-hormonal birth control for herself. She had had a bad experience with hormonal birth control, and she knew she was going to be planning to have a baby soon, but not necessarily right when she was, working on the Nobel Prize winning discovery. So
Kind of
she
busy.
part of right, part of her job was interpreting large data sets and using algorithms to make predictions. So she figured, well, why can't I apply this to what I want to do with my cycle, and basically just use fertility awareness principles and make them so much more powerful. And that's really how Natural Cycles was born.
Ultimately, you're building out an app that can serve a woman through her entire life, ultimately. So, and what a cool thing to be able to see like all those fluctuations and you start to see that. Anyway, I'm super interested for myself at this point. So I'm getting on the natural cycles wagon.
Oh, there you go.
That's
Love
gonna
it.
happen.
Well,
Yeah.
Check my
let's
insurance, see if it covers it.
I know. Yeah.
yeah,
And I think I
use it
love
for
it
a
too
year and
as
then we'll
a
bring it back on.
yeah. I was just gonna say I love it too as a doctor too, because you can actually download a PDF of your cycle information,
Oh, cool.
including like all the ovulation data, which is again what I think a lot of what distinguishes us from a period tracker, is that gives you just a lot more insight as an OBGYN. So you can actually upload your data to your OBGYN or just print out a PDF and bring it into your visit, so you're not sitting there going like, especially when you're having issues with your cycle. I think it's helpful to have that way you can,
Hmm.
instead of spending half the visit trying to recount to your OB what's going on, you can have that to, help
Yeah.
make the communication easier.
Oh, that's a great tool too. And it gives you something to like visually look at and say, yeah, this is happening, right? Like this is not
Yeah.
just me like anecdotally sharing. This is proof, right? When they say proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah, real
Yeah.
data.
Data is
All
a good
starts with
thing.
the data.
This has been a Shut Up production.
Shut up!